start recording. Yes, we are so fortunate today to have Dr. Ashok Mehta, who has written an excellent book. In the flyer, I had mentioned this book, The Healing Power of Food. Personally, I really enjoyed reading it, and I'm sure a lot of non-medical people understand the way the language he has used, and it's very useful. Dr. Ashok Mehta has served patients 5 years and up in Simply Care, located in Mount Juliet, Tennessee. Dr. Mehta is a board-certified primary care physician who provides compassionate and skilled care, including telemedicine, immigration, physicians, physical exams, high blood pressure treatment, diabetes, asthma treatment, and cholesterol treatment. He's in internal medicine service, physical exams, and much more. All patients are welcome to Dr. Mehta and the Simply Care staff, and they are proud to provide the best in primary care. Dr. Mehta attended medical school in India, where he also completed special training in nephrology. Upon arriving in the United States, Dr. Mehta joined Fitzgerald Mercy Hospital in Darby, Pennsylvania, for his residency in internal medicine. Dr. Mehta is a strong proponent of evidence-based medicine. He tries to always provide the proper diagnosis so that the correct treatment can begin. Dr. Mehta very much enjoys working with all of his patients, and he looks forward to meeting new patients. And without any further ado, I request Ashok to go ahead and start the presentation. Go ahead, start it. People, as they join, I'll get them in.
Okay. Well, thank you, Pramod. Thanks for a kind introduction. Really appreciate the kind words. So without further delay, I'll get you started. This is a topic I came to love more and more as I practice medicine, that we all should be looking more deeply into. So I'm going to share this very first slide, and it's more of a question than anything else. So if you look at, can everybody see this screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I have somebody's cholesterol panel, and I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit so you all can see. If you see on your right-hand side, you see total cholesterol. Then you see a triglyceride, which is 317. And you see a HDL cholesterol, which is 32. And you see a LDL cholesterol, which is 102. Now, if you have this kind of panel, in the contemporary medicine, most of the doctors will give you simply a prescription for something to lower your triglyceride and tell you to exercise to bring your HDL cholesterol up. But most of you are not aware that this panel is only half the story. So this panel does not give you the full picture of what is actually going on. So I'm going to share a second slide, which will give you a much more detailed analysis of what is going on in this patient body. So that's the second slide. And I don't know how many of you have seen this kind of panel, but as you see on the top of this slide, it is showing the particle concentration and the size. So here in this particular panel, we are measuring the size of the different particles. So as you can see, the very first part of the panel, it shows HDL-P. P means particle size. And if you can see the size of the particle, these are very, very small particle. All the way to the right, you see the particle size is very low. And then as you come down and look at the LDL size, you see the LDL size is in the red zone, which is the small particle. Now, I'm going to take a pause here and go back to the first screen. So if I go back to the first screen, if you look at the LDL cholesterol is only 102. And most people, most physicians, primary care doctor, they'll say, oh, your LDL cholesterol is good. So you don't need any treatment. We don't need to do anything. But your triglyceride is high, so we're going to give you some medicine. But little did they know that, and this is something I just going to share a fact, about 15% of all heart attacks occur in patients who have absolutely wonderful cholesterol panel. So you can have a cholesterol panel with absolutely normal total cholesterol, normal triglyceride, normal LDL cholesterol. And you may wonder, say, okay, this patient does not need any further care or treatment, so no worries. But if you look at the particle size of the LDL cholesterol is very, very small. This patient is a very high risk for coronary artery disease, stroke, and anything related to blockage of the arteries. So this is one of those patients who have normal cholesterol, pattern, but will end up having a heart attack if not properly managed. So this is a very startling fact, but that's a fact. Now further down, I'm going to this new thing which is called as insulin resistance score. And as you can see, the score in this case is like top in the red zone, which is like 80 or so, which is extremely high. So all of this patient's problem come from him being or her being insulin resistant. So because this patient is insulin resistant, it has caused the triglyceride level to go up. And because triglyceride levels are high, it will affect the high density lipoprotein, which is HDL cholesterol. It will make them small, and it will drop the level. It will break down the high density lipoprotein cholesterol. And it will also make the size of the LDL cholesterol very small. Now, if your LDL particles are large, they will not be able to get into the cell, the inflammatory cell, which collect at the site of any type of plaque. So if somebody has high cholesterol, high LDL cholesterol, but has mostly large particle, that patient does not need treatment. The only patient who need treatment if their particle size is small. I just want to make sure that everybody follows here up to here. Okay, so all of this is caused by this patient having insulin resistance. We have not addressed the problem, with a metabolic problem mainly affecting this patient. So today's topic is basically food and insulin resistance. So I'm gonna go to the next slide, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit more detail about this. Now, one thing I had to tell you at this point, that if this patient not properly managed, 5, 6, 7 years from now, this patient will become diabetic. This patient will develop some kind of heart disease or stroke or one of those things. And all of this while the LDL cholesterol being normal. Okay, so let's go to the very next slide. So this is the question for everybody, that when was the last time your doctor asked you what you eat on day-to-day basis? which is most of the time no.
Ashok,
In fact,
give a talk on food as a medicine.
okay, so there's, and then second thing is that in our electronic medical record, there is no column for dietary history. So when we talk to the patient come as a new patient, we do not see any place where we can say what kind of food this patient eat. And the reason for that, there's really no incentive for the doctor to ask you all those questions. So basically, they have a limited amount of time. It's a corporate medicine. They are, given a set fee for everything. So they're really not interested in that. However, lately, because of the inefficacy of the medical system, a lot of dissatisfaction, physicians are kind of waking up that, we got to do something. People are not getting better. They are still developing problem in spite of all the treatment, all the latest and the best drug. And the so-called advanced medical care is not that advanced. So in fact, last couple of years, there has been a new residency program, which has not been there so far. It's called as culinary medicine. So basically, what happened in this kind of program that you are taught about the food. These are all medical students, and they basically teach them how to cook, and there are trained chefs who knows about the food, and they teach them all different kind of cuisine all over the world. And so far, about 55 medical schools are in the process of adopting this kind of residency program. So I just want to let you know that there is definitely light at the end of tunnel. I've been doing this for almost 7 years now. So that's just a background. Another caveat, and as we all know that what you put in your mouth and what comes out of your mouth always have huge consequences. But most of us really don't pay attention. They think that doctors will fix all that. So that brings me down to the number one problem in the world, which is the obesity. In fact, it's the number one disease of the children under 12. If not the number one, but I think it's number 2 or 3. But it's very quickly going to become number one problem. So another important part I want to bring to your attention, that why people from India and neighboring countries, India, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, all part of India, used to be part of India, they are at a huge disadvantage health-wise than when they move to the West, and I'll explain to you why. So I don't know if you heard of this particular syndrome. It's called as thin fat syndrome. What it means is that if you check patients' weight, it's a normal body weight, normal BMI, body mass index, but they have belly. Now, what does it mean? Such a patient is more than likely to have the syndrome of insulin resistance, or we also call that as a metabolic syndrome. In fact, it's one of the ICD-9 diagnoses, which actually causes, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. We are extremely prone to that, in spite of the fact that a lot of us, when we arrive here, we are thin, but we still end up developing all this problem. Now, why is that? So one of the reasons why Indian population or Indian subcontinent population develop insulin resistance. So if you look at the syndrome of insulin resistance, this is an adaptation of our population when we were attacked constantly, numerous invasions. We were occupied multiple times for thousands of years. So food was in a scarcity, and because of that, our body developed a defense mechanism. So it caused us to have a a set of DNA changes. And in fact, we also do DNA testing for our patient, and we find those particular genes in almost every Indian patient. So basically, this particular gene will make you save whatever energy you get from the food. So no matter how little you eat, it will save it in your belly. And once we move to the West, our problem get much worse. And there are several reasons for that. In India, we still kind of move along, but once we come here, the problem get worse. So before I jump into, why these things get worse, I'm just gonna share with you this screen. Let me increase the size. If everybody can see the
Yes.
tag, okay, fonts, okay. So there are a bunch of symptoms, and there some of them are more technical. So pardon me, I could not find a layman's term for those things, but a lot of us have a lot of these symptoms, and a lot of time patients are given a separate medicine for each of these. So by the time you suppose you share half of this symptom with the doctor, he'll give you a pill for everything. And the common thing is, the low testosterone, inflammation, joint pain, brain fog. I see a lot of these, sleeping problem. So a lot of these symptoms are extremely common. So this is how a typical patient with insulin resistance will present to the doctor. If the doctors, care to ask, what are the problems they're having. So if you have any of these symptoms, you should be alert and seek more answers that why I'm having that. And I'm pretty sure by now, a lot of you have heard of a very common term called as fatty liver. They do a ultrasound and they say, oh, your fatty liver score is 300 something. And they'll say, okay, just lose weight and, come back next year, we'll check it again. But next year it is worse. So all of this is because of insulin resistance, okay? So let us understand the fundamentals of this problem, that what it is, and how does it lead to all these problems. So here on top of the screen, there are two things you see: your genes and your lifestyle. Very simple. So we are genetically prone. I'm talking about people from India and neighboring countries. Then we either once we live here or come here, it all depends on the lifestyle. If you are well-to-do, then you're going to walk less and be less active and eat a lot, and that will make you to develop weight problem. Once you develop a weight problem, the hormone from your fat cells will create insulin resistance. They'll make you diabetic. And once you become insulin resistance, it will cause three things. So I'm trying to keep it very simple, although it is much more complex than that, but I'm trying to keep it very simple on purpose. So insulin control two main things. Number one is control your sugar, and number two, it controls your fat. So if your insulin is not able to work, your body will not be able to utilize the sugar and the fat. So what will happen to that sugar and the fat? The sugar will stay in your blood, will make you diabetic, and the fat will go to your liver, and it will cause you to have fatty liver. Now, you probably have seen some people who never had any liver problem but end up developing cirrhosis of the liver. This is one of the reasons. In fact, Dr. Vasudev probably will be aware of that. The NASH, or non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, is one of the most common cause of cirrhosis of the liver in the current environment. So such is the importance of this particular illness, but very little understanding exists in the current medical system. Okay, so what makes us insulin resistant? So there are several things, and I think most of you kind of understand the first, several causes I have listed. Ethnically, we are definitely more prone to develop insulin resistance syndrome, as I mentioned. Why? Once we move here, we are told that all this heart healthy cereal, Cheerios, and all those food are very good. They're good for your heart, and we start eating that. Then we start eating all the pizza and all the other good food, and that is also another huge contributing factor. Then we are busy, we are working, physical activity is much less, and before you know, you develop a apple-shaped body, which is the central obesity, and that's what creates the insulin resistance. Now, another thing which happened, which many of you are not aware of, that as soon as you come to America or move to West, it could be any other country, but America is one of the main one, because here the food is really completely missing the gut microbiome. So as soon as you come here, your gut microbiome also change, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later and explain to you what it is and what it does. Now, so one of the question a lot of my patients ask me that, okay, how do I know if I have insulin resistance? So until now, there was really no direct way to measure insulin resistance in the offices. So there was no actually test. But last couple of years, this new test, just came by. It is called as NMR lipo. The very first screen I share with you, I'm going to go back to that. And if you look at the top, NMR lipo profile test. So this is the test which is becoming like a mainstream. I don't know how many doctors are doing that, but all our patients routinely get this test. And it's not very expensive test, it's cheap test. It's really covered by most of the insurance companies. So one thing, which I want you to understand, that about 70% of the Western population and about the same percentage of Indian population has insulin resistance. But because there has never been a test to measure that, or like a common laboratory test, they were not aware of that, and their physicians were not aware of that. So there was really nothing done about it. Okay. So you may ask me that what food has to do with insulin resistance? And the second question we ask about, what is the gut microbiome, which is the actually bacteria in your gut, which are normal. So these are the bacteria which are there in your intestine. They are the bacteria which digest your food. They are the bacteria which protect your gut by secreting some chemicals. And these are the bacteria which basically responsible for extracting all the nutrient from your food. So here I'm going to share with you. So it is responsible for digesting your food. So kind of break down your food, because as you can understand that there has to be some mechanism inside the body which could be digesting your food, and it has to be a biological mechanism. It can't be a machine. So all this carbohydrate, protein, and fat we are eating, it is digested by this bacteria and converted into all the substitute fatty acid, carbohydrate is broken down into glucose, and protein is broken down into certain different particles, and all of that kind of goes to the respective organ where they're needed, and your body, whatever it needs, it basically will pick up that particular macro. Macro means carbohydrate, fat, or protein, and they will put it together because of the command from the DNA, and then we'll have some uh, different kind of after product of the food created, which body will use it. Now that also control your immune system, and this is a very common problem, that if you are not eating clean, that means not eating properly, eating a lot of junk food or processed food, you'll get sick more often, and that's a fact, and you can test it yourself. Then it also protect your intestine from other pathogens, other bacteria, which are harmful to your body. So it create a coating inside your gut, which will protect your gut from different kind of bacteria. Take an example, E. coli. So E. coli is there in almost everything, and you really can't avoid it. You cannot sterilize your food. The only way you can protect yourself is by having a healthy gut bacteria. One of the things which is, I find it fascinating, that about 80% of the serotonin is produced in your gut. And some of you who do not know what serotonin is, I'm sure you have heard of Prozac or some of the antidepressant. These are SSRI, which means that they increase your serotonin level. So all these medications are made so that your serotonin level can increase. Now, if your gut is not making enough serotonin, you'll be depressed. That's a fact. So there has been a lot of books and articles written about depression and anxiety are actually gut feeling, and then that is also very few people know that it's all come from your eating the wrong food, that it will lead you to feeling anxious and depressed. And reason for that, because if you're not eating the proper food, you will not make serotonin, and if you don't make serotonin, then you will not have dopamine, and you're not going to feel good. Okay. So how Western diet is bad. So if you look around and go to the grocery store, 3/4 of the grocery store consists of processed food. So all of this food is completely dead food. There is no bacteria in this food. Mostly it has very high sugar, a lot of salt, a lot of fat, and lots of high fructose corn syrup, and lots of protein, which is come from the different part of the animal body. I don't know how many animals, and they kind of mix it together and present to you as a whatever that protein could be. It could be chicken, or it could be beef, or whatever it could be. And all of that is processed. It does not have any bacteria, because if it has a bacteria, it will multiply and the food will rot. So this is done by design so that food has a higher shelf life and it is not smelling, so you can consume it, and even after 1 year, it will stay the same. But most of the time, this food is not only useless, but highly dangerous for you. So we are eating all this very highly processed food, which is dead food. We are not that active. In fact, what is normal for most of the other world population, a lot of walking, which they do out of habit. For us, we have to actually go to the gym and exercise, and we exercise maybe 10% of what other people do. Okay, so these are the two important factors which will create all kind of problem. Now the third thing which happened to all of us, that your gut bacteria will change. And I'm pretty sure that almost all of you have heard of the saying that when we go to India, we can eat anything and it's all digested. There is something in the water. We digest everything. And that something is actually Indian gut bacteria. So very few of us understand that the American gut biome and Indian gut biome are totally different. And this has already been proven beyond any doubt. In fact, the best gut microbiome is found in people in jungles of Amazon rainforest. Those people have the best gut microbiome. In fact, there are doctors right now in those jungles, and they're taking the stool sample of those natives and try to create that combination, which they can bring it back and give it to people as a pill. And there are numerous trials going on which actually give you a little capsule which will give you all those good bacteria, and that can fix a lot of your problems. But it's all work in progress. So you may say, okay, yeah, I can take a capsule, a probiotic, and and actually you'll see a lot of advertisement for different kind of probiotics. So take this and take that, and you'll get better and your gut will be healthy. But it does not work that way. And all of us know that we have hardly have recreated or replicated anything what the nature has done. Have you seen anybody recreating an apple? It is not possible. And whenever they try to mess with what the mother nature has created, they spectacularly failed. However, no worries. I mean, there are better ways to get the natural probiotic. So these are some of the examples of some of the natural probiotics. And Dr. Basudev will save this presentation so you all can read in detail. But as most of my listeners are from India, so I'm going to talk about some of the pickles. Pickling is our ancestors were very smart. So pickling is actually a natural way to preserve the bacteria. Now, some of the pickling which is done commercially, which has a lot of oil and salt and a lot of vinegar, those pickles are useless. So most of the pickle which are useful if they are lacto-fermented pickle. And actually, people in South make a lot of these lacto-fermented pickles. In fact, there is a book about pickle. I'll share with Dr. Vasudev later on. This lady has created, she's from South and she's very famous. She has over 600 pickles and she has written all the recipes. So pickles are our natural probiotic. And this is why in an Indian thali, the pickle is always there. And there is a reason for that because it has all the bacteria we need. And this is found in almost all the ancient cultures. If you look at the Korean food, they have kimchi. I think they also have kombucha, which is also very, very popular. Then miso soup is Japanese, and it's very, very popular among the Japanese people. And of course, our good old idli and dosa and Indian yogurt, they're extremely good sources of the bacteria. So just to share some of those things. Now, I talked about the gut bacteria, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, that how does the bacteria gut biome in the America differ from the gut biome in India. So in a nutshell, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this, but in a nutshell, Indian gut biome is much more diverse. That means it has multiple species of gut bacteria. So in America, you test the American gut, and we have evidence of that. We have tested a lot of American, Indian, and other people as well, and we are finding that their bacteria definitely are different in terms of nationality. To give you an example, the people who are eating more plant-based diet, which means complex carbohydrate, they tend to have a higher prevalence of a bacteria called as Prevotella, which basically help digest those kind of high complex carbohydrate. And because of that, there are certain chemicals released which are beneficial to the body, whereas most of the American food has lot of protein and animal fat, and these bacteria are called as bacteroids. In fact, those bacteroids are increasingly implicated in the causation of colon cancer, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, one of the other factor, the use of antibiotic in America is extremely common. In fact, you go for any sore throat and all that stuff, the first thing they do is give you antibiotic. Although your antibiotic, you take the antibiotic and for a few weeks your bacteria will die like every other bacteria, but they will come back. But because the antibiotic use is very common, it actually prevent the growth of the bacteria. The other factor is that we are basically a sterile society. So everything is super clean, and to the level that there's hardly any bacteria found anywhere else. We don't allow our children to go outside and play in dirt. We basically don't play in dirt ourselves. We kind of disconnect from the nature, and we are basically staying inside, sterile environment. And slowly, those natural bacteria disappear from our body. And these are some of the other reasons for having a very less diverse gut bacteria population. And that kind of make our gut similar to American gut. And that's where all the problems start. So that's another thing. What happened to your gut when you move here? So because we eat more processed food, more high sugar, high fat food, will develop insulin resistance. Once you develop insulin resistance, it will all go to your belly. It will make your HDL particle or the size as well as the number low. It will make your triglyceride high, and it will make your LDL particle small. Now, this will go on for 5, 6, 7 years. Then your doctor will give you news that, oh, by the way, your sugar is going up, so you're pre-diabetic now, and you should take this medicine, that medicine. But none of that will address your food. And I can guarantee you that no doctor ever talked to you about the food. So ultimately, what will happen, a lot of our non-medical personnel, they do not understand all this, and slowly they will develop coronary artery disease, inflammatory bowel disease, such as Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis. In fact, the incidence of Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis is extremely common in the West. It's very less common in other less developed countries. I'm talking about India and some of the other Asian countries where you rarely see the inflammatory bowel disease. Strokes are very common. In fact, the incidence of diabetes among Indian people who moved from India to US is much higher than if you stayed in India. And of course, the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or NASH is much more common among our population. Now, what happened that all of this, your cholesterol panel is all messed up. So most of us are given statins. If you develop a heart disease, we give you a blood thinner and so forth. But so far, nobody talked to you about insulin resistance. So how can you change all of this? It's not that complicated. You just have to know that what it is. And nowadays, there are a lot of tools available. I'm going to share with you. I'm sure a lot of you have heard about ChatGPT or some of the other, artificial intelligence-based programs. And you can simply type a question and ask, what is insulin resistance? And you can ask anything and it'll tell you in a lot more detail than your doctor will ever tell you. So first thing you have to do is get tested. It's a simple test. It costs you maybe $60, $70. And if you have the insulin resistance, then the very next step you have to take is get your gut microbiome tested. Nowadays, there are numerous labs, including LabCorp, Quest. All those lab companies can do a gut biome test. So definitely get a gut biome test. And what we do is that we also do, the DNA test, and we kind of put all three of them together. So we check your NMR lipo, we check your gut biome test, we check your DNA, and then we put all three of us in our own AI-based algorithm, and it will spit out a customized diet, which is based on your results. And this is very important to understand that all of us are different. That is why we look, act different. And obviously, it has to come from your gut. So everybody's gut is different. And I can personally tell you that my gut bacteria test and my wife's gut bacteria test are totally different. And that's why she always stay thin, and I cannot lose weight. Although I have lost a bunch of weight, but she is definitely has a better gut than I have. So one of the common question people ask me that, okay, yeah, you gave us all this information, that how do I lose this weight? And up till now, I really would tell them that, okay, we're gonna change your diet and exercise and all of that, but it's all time consuming. It will take you months to lose a few pounds. And most people who have insulin resistance are not in a condition to have patience. They really want to lose fat quickly, but they're not able to. And I think they should lose the fat quickly, because that is going to solve a lot of their problem. So fortunately, you probably heard of these new medications. It's called as GLP-1 analog. And I'll talk to you a little bit more toward the end. I'll tell you more about how does it work and all those things. Okay. So one of the very important question I get asked is that, what kind of exercise should I do? And most people will say, okay, I'm gonna go for a walk. Now, walk is good for you, but it's only kind of doing your work only 1/3 of the time. I haven't found anybody who have lost significant amount of weight by just walking alone. Very few people. You have to walk a lot to be able to lose some weight. To just give you an example, and I have tested it myself. So I used to go for a hike in one of the park, which is a big mountain, and we'll go up and down. It'll take us 3 hours, and it will cover about 6 miles. And by the time I'm down at the other end, I will probably burn about 800 calories. So you have to burn 3,500 calories to lose 1 kilo. That's how difficult it is to lose weight. by just the exercise, which is walking. So how do we optimize our exercise? So keep in mind that there are three large muscles in the body. Now, gluteus maximus, which is basically your buttocks, are the largest in the body. Latissimus dorsi, which is the basically chest, and this it's a big muscle, so it is in the front, on the side, and the back. So it goes all over your chest. And in the leg, of course, the quads are one of the biggest muscle. So exercising this three muscle part with resistance is the sure shot way to reduce insulin resistance. Now, why am I talking about this? People who have insulin resistance, they are not able to utilize glucose very effectively because the insulin is not able to work properly. So it will not allow glucose to get into your muscles. And without insulin is not able to get into your muscles will get tired. So you will exercise for a few minutes, you'll get tired, you'll sit down, then you go back and you do it again. But in the long run, it's very, very hard to maintain. And there is a reason for that, because like I said, insulin resistance is basically your body is trying to save the energy. It will not let you do the exercise. So you have to get around that. You have to exercise the large muscles first with resistance. And by doing that, you can actually lower your insulin resistance. And studies have proven that. The second thing I want to point out is that all of us have a different DNA. Some people can exercise and lose weight. Some people cannot. And it's all in their DNA. So it's also important to know what your DNA is like. The other thing, as we all get older, the walking become a chore. Once you're past 70 years of age, you really can't go too far. So really, what can you do? Well, the resistance training is the answer. That you can use resistance training at home or in your backyard by using different kind of resistance bands. And there are bands which has different level of resistance. So there are bands which are low resistance band, there are bands which are higher resistance, and there are bands which are very high resistance. So you can use whatever you like, and you can do multiple repetition of that exercise. You don't have to really go to athletic level. If you can do simple exercises multiple times, you will improve your insulin resistance. Okay. So one of the other thing, as I mentioned, that I see that people just focus on the walk. They do not focus on the strength. Very, very important, because you will need strength as you get older. So what is the number one thing as you get older you need to do? Is get off the chair. And what you need for that? You need strong legs. So if you don't train your leg when you're young, as you get older, you will definitely have problems. And this has a direct connection with your mortality. So if you can go to YouTube and you can type in, there are certain exercises you can do to improve your leg strength. And by doing that, you'll notice that you can do a lot more exercises. You will have easier time getting around than before because your legs are stronger. So just a very important part of this talk is how to effectively use exercise. I'm also a huge fan of the HIIT workout. Is called as high intensity training. So basically, you work out intently for a minute or so, then you slow down, work again, slow down, and so forth, and you do it for whatever period of time you can do it. And studies have shown that it is more effective than just taking a simple walk. Now, lot of people ask me that question that, okay, I can walk and well, simple walking is not enough. You have to walk briskly. What it means is that you can talk but cannot sing. That's what a brisk walk means. So you have to put effort into walking if you just want to stick to walking. I'm not against walking, but I also want to emphasize that till you don't use the large muscles, your insulin resistance will not improve. And I have seen that, doing it myself, and a lot of my patients, they do the exercises, which I point out to them. So that brings me down to another important part of health is the role of supplement in health and insulin resistance. So there are a lot of natural supplement which are very, very useful in improving insulin resistance. And I'm going to share a list of these. These are very simple, very common, available anywhere, some online, some in the shelves. But make sure you buy from good source, which has proper verification, and some of them actually get their supplement lab tested as well. So look for those kind of companies. These will be expensive, but you'll get what you pay for. If you just go to Walmart and buy this run-of-the-mill stuff, I cannot tell you for sure that how much effective it will be. So omega-3, almost everybody knows that. That's very common, popular. A lot of people use that, and that's very good to improve your HDL cholesterol as well as LDL cholesterol. It also lowers your insulin resistance, and by doing that, it will lower your triglyceride. Now, vitamin D and B12, these are very critical vitamin. In fact, the studies are showing more and more that people who are low in vitamin D and B12, they can worsen their insulin resistance, or because of insulin resistance, they develop these deficiencies. So it's very, very important to keep the level of these vitamins. And you will see that as you age, these vitamin levels will go down. So make sure you do a yearly check. If your physical does not involve check up your vitamin and B12, that money is wasted. The third very common supplement, which I don't know how many of you have heard about it, is called as berberine. So basically, in a nutshell, it is a turmeric from a tree bark. It is mainly found in China, India, South America. So it comes from the bark of the tree. It's yellow colored, but it's extremely useful in patients with pre-diabetic, cholesterol issues. So actually, it works just like metformin, but caveat is that it also improves your cholesterol. So it's extremely effective natural supplement. It has no side effect whatsoever. So it should be part of your natural supplement. And of course, everybody knows about the turmeric. In fact, I don't know how many of you know that the most of the research about turmeric, which has been done in the world, is in America. And in fact, there are some scientists at University of Texas who have written a 500-page book on turmeric. You can find it online. Dr. Agarwal, who has written this book. And it is, in very detail, they have pointed out the efficacy of turmeric in various diseases, preventing cancer and all those things. And they actually have a DNA evidence to prove their point. And probably because of that, turmeric is becoming very popular among public. A lot of American people also take it. However, the way we use turmeric in India is much more practical and scientific because we mix it with the food. Taking a capsule alone will not give you the same efficacy as you use turmeric on daily basis in your food, in cooking. We do not know how does it work, but the studies have shown that it works better if it is used as a food supplement rather than as a capsule. So again, this is one of those things that we cannot mimic nature. We cannot reproduce what nature has already done for us. Magnesium is very, very important. It is a critical uh, uh, electrolyte which control most of your potassium and a lot of your calcium in the body. Very, very high concentration in coconut water, apricots, and a lot of nuts. So that should be part of your daily intake. So you really don't have to take magnesium separately. You can eat some nuts. And again, some of the studies have shown that the what our grandmother used to give us as a kid, that she will soak the almond in the night time, and in the morning she will peel them off and give it to us like 5 pieces. And that is absolutely the way to do it. So I will highly advise you that whatever nut you want to eat, cashew or pistachio or walnuts are very, very good. So you can soak them in the water and eat, 4 or 5 walnuts, 4 or 5, almonds, and whatever other nut you prefer. The chromium is another one, is very, very important for your carbohydrate metabolism. It is also most of the leafy vegetable has a lot of chromium. Cabbage is one of the most wonderful food the nature has created for us. And the more colored the cabbage is, in fact, some of the newer studies are showing that purple cabbage is extremely rich in a lot of natural supplement and chemicals, and very beneficial to us. It has a lot of resveratrol, which is the next thing, which is found in basically wine. So, but I'm not asking you to drink wine, because wine will increase your insulin resistance. So you can simply eat berries, or you can eat grapes if you can. Now, all the grapes do not have the same concentration of the resveratrol, so you just have to, find some good quality grapes and berries. Preferably, if they are grown organically in a farm, they tend to have more, kind of bang for your bucks. And of course, we know about the cinnamon and the green tea. There are a lot of green tea, which has a lot of phytochemicals. Phyto means color. So these are the colored flavonoids, which are also found in berries and all. And these are highly protective of you. So they basically, all these green tea and all, they protect your DNA from the damage of the day-to-day life. So that's in a nutshell about some of the supplement. So like I said, one of the thing I wanted to talk about, that, why everyone in America need a colonoscopy. They used to say that, by the 50, you need a colonoscopy. But nobody asked that question, why? Why only in America that you need a colonoscopy when you turn 50? What happened? Why is the case? I haven't heard of that in India or some of the other Asian countries. Everybody does not get a colonoscopy. Now I'm gonna tell you why. So the studies have shown that, and these are all gut biome testing in people with colon cancer and without colon cancer. And they actually compared those two guts, that people who have low concentration of these two bacteria, bifidobacterium and lactobacillus, they tend to have higher incidence of colon cancer. On top of that, if you have these bacteria called as Fucibacterium and Peptostreptococcus, and they have seen a tremendous increase in the incidence of colon cancer. And all of that happened because of the high amount of processed people in America eat. And you must have heard of some cases of colon cancer which has been diagnosed in people as young as 30 years of age. And part of that, one of the causes of that is lack of fibers in American diet. So American food is by design does not have much fiber. In fact, their fiber intake is only 10% of daily recommendation. However, nothing is being done to make some kind of law that, okay, you have to put some fiber in the food so that people don't develop colon cancer. And in fact, America is the only country on the planet Earth where use of processed food is legal. If you go to other countries, you will not find processed food. I'm sure some of you have traveled to other countries, Japan, Italy, some of the other countries, and you can go to a grocery store. It is the size of a really small house, and there are maybe 4 cereals, and but most of them have lots of vegetable and whatever native food they have. So processed food is not very common in other part of the world, and because of the processed food, people here tend to develop more health problem, and all of this is easily avoidable. However, this is not being done for various reasons, and I don't want to get into all this, other political and other, issues. So as you can see that so far, I have listed only one prescription medicine. Everything else is, talked about just a food and supplement. So needless to say that power of eating well is definitely undisputed, and you can see for yourself that the week you'll eat really good biologically active food, you'll feel much better. So my last message is that if you want to be well, then eat well. And lastly, I want to share this news. This article just came out today, fortunately, that use of semaglutide, which is basically Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. So this paper came out in today's New England Journal of Medicine. They have done basically randomized control studies, and they have found the use of these medications have led to a massive decrease to the tune of about 28% decrease in incidence of cardiac disease, about 18% decrease in incidence of stroke, and a lot of other benefit. But these are the 2 endpoint they have used. And I've gone through this study, and they say, oh, we do not know why these changes happen, and we need to do some more study and blah, blah, blah. But I can tell you, I think you have gone through my presentation, and I'm pretty sure that you can tell because people who take semaglutide cannot eat a lot of junk food. So much so that Walmart, there was a news that Walmart indicated that our sale of junk food is down 10%, and they blamed it on all this semaglutide, Ozempic, Wegovy, and all those medication. And in fact, some of the other cardiac medication, dialysis clinic, all of them have started to worry about their pocketbook. So needless to say, the simple change that either you eat less processed food or no processed food at all, or you can, if you cannot for some reason avoid that, or you don't have a means to do all that, because you might be on a fixed income, and then all of the Indian population is pretty well off. So I'm pretty sure you can kind of work around all that and eat the right food, so you don't have to take all these medications. And the lastly, all this information you are presented with will be in my next book, which is about to come out in about a month or so. And I have talked in great detail about a lot of other factors beside the common illnesses we kind of worry about, diabetes, stroke, and heart disease. I talked about a lot of other things which we commonly face. And this book has a lot of real life incidences. So I've been working on all this for almost 7 years, and I kind of talk to my patient and say, okay, what is going on? And we kind of go through all the issues and see how we can solve it. And we try different thing, and ultimately we found out that this is what we had to do, and we did that, and it improved the outcome. So I'll give you a very simple example that how talking to my patient helped me to be able to write this book. So one of my patient was talking to him, and he had gout. So he asked me that question. He said, "Doc, why does the gout only affect the great toe?" I said, "That's a good question." I said, "I really don't know." I said, "But let me ask ChatGPT." So I quickly asked that question, and the answer was that because the circulation in your toe is the lowest circulation in the toe. So where you have the least circulation of the blood, the uric acid, which causes gout, builds up first. And this is why. And the second reason was that the toe are the coldest part of the body, and the uric acid tend to precipitate in the cold environment. So I have listed a lot of those kind of examples in my book, the real life issues and how we solve them. So it'll come out shortly, and as it comes out, I'm going to share with Dr. Vasudev, and he can share with you all as it is available. So with that, I'm just going to finish my presentation, and I'm open to questions from the audience.
Can you stop sharing your slide?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we are open. That's an excellent presentation, Ashok. And
Thank you.
I personally learn a lot, and I'm sure all of you learn a lot from this. And there are two ways to ask the question. You can either put it in the down in the chat line, type your questions, or you can ask them audio questions. Just unmute your mic before you ask the question. Any questions you all have? Let me make some few comments and questions. Ashok, we are seeing a lot of these antibiotics being used in the chickens and beef, and that eating that all that meat does affect it. Can you comment a little more about it?
Yes. So what happened that all of this, like I mentioned, that the processing the food involved the use of antibiotic as well as the radiation. A lot of you don't know that the lot of food is irradiated, so that is sterile, completely sterile. That means it has absolutely no bacteria. And definitely it does have implication, because we are not getting the nature's bacteria in the food, and it's just basically plain macro with a lot of chemicals. So these chemicals are extremely harmful for us. These are not something we should be eating. So it is like a double whammy. So not only it does not have good bacteria, but also has a lot of bad chemical which can cause a lot of other illnesses like cancer and so forth.
The thing about this, people are drinking these protein shakes, and in moderation, it seems like a good thing to have proteins. But some of them just stay on this protein morning, afternoon, evening without taking any very minimal carbohydrates and fat. Is that a good?
No, it is not. It is basically the protein shake. Again, it does not have the gut biome. It does not have any bacteria. It cannot have bacteria. Anything which comes in a can or pack cannot have any bacteria. So it is not good for you. Yeah, it give you a temporary, protein load if you were to, recovering from surgery and all for a few days, it might be okay. But this is not something in the long run. It will hurt you. It will actually increase your insulin resistance.
And of course, a lot of that protein is used for energy rather than building the muscles and all. So you have to have supplement with sufficient carbohydrates.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of natural protein, the tofu, the chicken, the fish. There are a lot of other sources which we can consume. Lentils, if you're not eating meat, a lot of lentils, dal, different kind of dals, very good source of protein. So really there's no need for us to consume the processed protein. That's my point.
Other thing I personally noticed that on my personal health, I had a lot of knee arthritis for several years now, 7, 8 years. And it was very difficult for me to do a lot of walking long distance, like a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. So I've been using this stationary bicycle, which for people with knee problems and all. And is that, it's not maybe not that effective as walking.
No, it is effective. It is very effective. Yes,
very,
I think you can just change the resistance you're using, and it is very good. I have absolutely. I do stationary bike every single day. I don't like walking myself, because I'm not getting anywhere. So I basically go to the park and come back, but I don't have that much of time. I don't have 1 hour. So I basically do the same thing what you're talking about, the stationary bike, and I go on resistance, up on the resistance, and I get the same workout in 10 minutes.
the moderate resistance on the stationary bicycle, you do about 110 steps. With high resistance, 160 steps a minute, which is kind of course, unfortunately, this are iPhone activity trackers and all. They don't track the steps when you're doing a stationary bicycle. But I think you can count that on the number of minutes you do. Minutes are there, and multiply by low resistance, mid resistance, high resistance. But anywhere from 110 steps to 160 steps.
So one of the things I'll share with you, you probably haven't seen a fat yogi or a yogi, like a trained yogi who's running. They basically stand at one place and do all kind of different asanas and all, and they burn a lot of calories. So there are various ways to do workout, and yoga is one of the best way to do it. And then strength training. So basically it's a calisthenics. So you're using your own body's weight to work out. And that is a very effective way, because that's what we do naturally. Naturally we are getting up from the chair, going to the bed and going to the bathroom, getting up. So all of this you have to do, which are natural movements. And you'll notice that if you are really good in doing the natural movements, your day-to-day life will be better and better.
Any other questions there? There's one last question I'll ask you. is about the best way to take B12. Is it by pills or injection?
No, well, you can take sublingual B12. So I know that it's sometimes very difficult to take shots, although the injections are the best, but everybody don't have the facility to take a shot every month. And the other better way to do that is the sublingual B12. So you can buy this liquid B12, put a full dropper under your tongue every single day, and it'll get you, all this B12 will get absorbed from your tongue. As you age, B12, you actually develop, and I'm sure you'll know this term, achlorhydria. That means you'll have less acid in your body. So if your stomach is not making acid, you will not be able to digest B12. So what is the other way to do that is to actually try to absorb it sublingually under your tongue. And studies have shown that it actually quickly increases your levels.
That's a great suggestion. Somebody is asking a question in the chat line. They want this recording to be shared. Yes, we have already recorded this. And in about a week or 10 days, if I don't send it to you, I'll try to send it to your email. But if I don't send it to you, in a week or 10 days, it will appear on our website. Website address is there in the chat line. It's www.icSSS.org. And you will see, in fact, the recordings of previous presentations on this website. There's a lot of good information. If there are no more questions, we'll once again thank Ashok for this excellent presentation. And again, gave him a good hand.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Yeah,
Ashok.
Thank you so much.
It was very
Appreciate that.
informative.
Yeah. And
Thank
so
you.
much, Dr.
Can I ask you the last question, please?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'm Shaila Shibad, and I wanted to ask, my son has high triglyceride levels. Perhaps it is familial because his grandmother had undergone, those days, triglycerides were not measured in India, but she underwent cholecystectomy by her age of 55 or so.
Mhm.
So is there any special care that has to be taken for the familial high triglyceridemia?
Yeah, so there is if the levels are very high, that means they are in thousands, then there is a medication, excellent medicine by the name of a CEPA. In fact, this is the one of the only drug.
He takes the Tricor, high doses Tricor.
But CEPA is better.
What is the spelling?
I'll send it to Dr. Vasudev. I'll send it.
Sure,
Share a
thank
link
you.
with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, much more effective than the, plus he can take Vasipa with omega-3 and that will lower his triglyceride.
Thank you.
There is any other presentation, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Ashok, and I'm going to end the sessions.
Thank you. And
Thank you.
Happy Diwali. Happy Diwali.
Oh, happy Diwali to you all. Thank you.
Okay, happy Diwali.
Bye-bye.